Aloha Foilers, this is Brian Finch of Foil the World. I would like to welcome you to the newly minted, freshly baked, the immaculate conception of the Foil the World podcast. Too kind, too kind. So this is obviously my first episode. A little nervous, definitely inexperienced, but what can you expect from the Foil the World podcast? First of all, I'm a pretty bad storyteller. I have a bad memory. I will conflate statistics. I'll ramble. I'm going to construe the facts, and I hope that you learn a little and are entertained a lot. So let's address the elephant in the room, perhaps. My good friend Eric Antonson has the Progression Project podcast, and it's phenomenal. Eric is a brilliant dude. He is a very good friend. When I moved to Florida, Eric was super generous with his time, help, resources. He's just overall just a great person and very good at what he does on his podcast. For the World podcast is not meant to compete with Eric, nor can I. I just can't do what Eric does. He's super analytical. He's terrific in explaining ideas, breaking things down. That's not quite my forte. So if you don't already, you need to follow Eric on Instagram at the Progression Project, and link up to his podcast and give it a listen. He's got so many episodes cataloged and in kind of a timeline of his learning progress, and it's fascinating. You're going to learn a lot there. Check out the Progression Podcast. All right, on to the next. I thought I would start a little bit talking about myself. I'm not sure how much people know about me. I know people have followed me on Instagram for a while and kind of seen, my evolution through foiling and foiling in general. That's what, the Foil the World Instagram account is about, just showcasing the best foilers in the world, sharing knowledge, and just the overall stoke of the sport. So I was born in California, raised here on the island of Kauai. I went to college in California, and I lived in Costa Rica for about 10 years. I returned to Kauai for 12 years with my wife and kids, raised them there, and I've been in Florida, Jacksonville, for the last year and a half. So quite the change. Definitely enjoying it, but it's a whole different approach to foiling. So I started foiling about 6 years ago now, I guess, 5, 6, 6.5, I don't know. What really convinced me to try to foil was when I was hired to work on a documentary for Laird Hamilton on his documentary called Take Every Wave. Good flick, you should watch it. My buddy Joel Guy got me that job. He's a good buddy of Laird, and it was an amazing experience. I got to shoot from the helicopter, from jet skis, did a little bit of everything, filming a little drone, got to drive ski for water safety. Worked hand in hand with amazing cinematographer Don King, total legend in water photography, videography. But it was an amazing experience, and just listening to Laird and Uncle Terry talk about foiling and then witnessing them firsthand, just going incredible speeds and the flow, just their enthusiasm overall. It was something I knew I had to do, and talking with Laird about the equipment and the pricing, and it quickly seemed like it was something I was never going to do. It was, at the time they had, I think, like 110 centimeter aluminum masts and wings, and just very expensive barrier to entry. If I'm not wrong, I think it was like around $6,000 was the setup. So more than double of nowadays. But in time, shortly after, I think GoFoil released their, I guess it was the Maliko or one of those, Alex, the genius, adapted the foil for the common man, everyday use, where you could, stroke in the waves and get up and go. And the foil sections were paced for, normal waves. You didn't have to be going 25, 30 miles an hour to get up on foil like with the original foils in the ski boots. So that's what convinced me to give foiling a go. And it turns out my buddy Joel that got me that job, he had a foil setup on connected to a SUP board, and he invited me to learn how to foil. We went out behind his little dinghy and towed across Honolulu Bay on a flat day. And Joel told me basically grab the rope and go foil. There was no instruction. And I did. It was actually pretty darn easy to get up and ride. And I remember like 30 seconds or so into riding behind the boat, I was like, foiling's easy. I got this. And I went to like start doing a couple carves, and I was doing little squiggles, and then I went to do a carve. And I tacoed that board and foil so hard into my abdomen, put a big gash all the way across the belly button down to the hip, and had a little bleeder going. And from there, I was hooked. I was like, I need one of these. That was amazing. The feeling of flight and the glide and the silence once you lift the foil off of the water, it was just an amazing feeling. And that's how it started. So shortly after this experience, I found out that a good buddy of mine from the South Side was already foiling. He was about 6 months in, and this person is Kyle Maligro, a good friend of mine, full OG foiler. And Kyle, his origin story was, I'm not sure how he first got a hand on a foil, but he put a foil, mounted it to a soft top, and then went out in like solid 4-foot Hawaiian waves and went over the falls, or I think he tacoed actually and cracked some ribs. This was a super common Genesis story from back in the day. No one knew what to do. The foils weren't nearly as controlled as they are now. But yeah, talking to Kyle, he's like, I ride Nash. So I went out and I bought a Nash thrust medium with I think it was a 60 centimeter mast, or no, 50 or 55. It was a stupid short little mast. And I had a Will Scoville board that actually my buddy Thomas gave to me. It was a summer board kind of shape, kind of like a performance summer board. So it's a little bit wider, a little bit shorter. And I stuck this like hard plastic mounting system to it. It's called foil mount. I think they're still around, but yeah, it's like a 3M glue. You peel it off, you stick it where you think the tracks go, attach the foil, and you are foiling. And that's, off to the races from there. That's how I started. So fast forward to today, I'm here on the island of Kauai. It's been about 1.5 years since I've been back, and I'm caretaking this beautiful valley for an old buddy of mine, actually ex-boss and friend. And I'm here, caretaking, working the land a bit, planted some coffee the other day. I feed the animals, a bunch of dogs. We've, some roosters, a goose, a parrot, a bunch of stuff going on here. And so that's what I'm doing on Kauai right now. I'm still working the day job remotely, foiling a bit, not as much as I was hoping. But it's been amazing to see friends, foil with them again, feel some of the Hawaiian juice, which is nice. Florida is super fun for foiling, but it's not often punchy. It's just feels great getting out some real juice and some faster waves. So I've been testing 3 different front wings from Freedom Foil boards. They're new foils. Great system, super stiff, like really clean looking finish. I'm really stoked on them. I've been, helping with my input along with several others, and we've been testing these foils and helping develop them. And so right now with me, I have a 1250 that kind of blew me away the other day. I winged it out in this bay, which is onshore wind, and it's a pretty long bay. And you can wing outside the breakers and then just, luff your wing and basically downwind back into the bay. And the wing like blew me away. It was still fast enough to, overtake bumps. It kept up with the swells fine, but it really shined when the bumps would back off, and that moment where you're looking for the next energy source. You could just kind of pump around and stall and wait and stay on foil at these really low speeds, let the swell build back under the feet, and then back to the races. It carved surprisingly well. It is a 1250. I'm used to much smaller wings, but I'm super stoked on the thing. I've only had that one session, so further testing, different tails, different conditions is going to happen. But first feels were really impressive. I was very psyched. The other wing is an 810 Halcyon. This is the second wing in the Halcyon line for Freedom. I don't want to turn this into a commercial, but I just want, relay what I'm up to, what's going on. And the 810 is like a higher medium aspect. It's getting close to the realm of a high aspect wing. This thing has some nice low end with the decent top end, and it's just a really carvy, dependable wing. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because I'm so addicted to the small high aspects, but the 810 is the foil section is just so perfectly paced for the in the surf. It was also very rippable in downwind kind of swells. I got to ride it winging in Hood River, from shoulder high river bumps down to like knee high, and I was impressed how well it kept carving, kept moving and recovering in even the smaller bumps, being able to really put it on rail and flip the tip and keep on going. So there's so much potential in this wing. Really excited, especially we're working on a slew of tail wings to couple for the differing front wings and conditions. And I know this thing is just gonna ramp up in performance once all our tails are all set up and dialed in. So it's pretty fun. It's what I've been doing on island, from the caretaking, the animals, and a little bit of R&D for Freedom. So I have about another week left here on Kauai, hoping to score a few more sessions with the crew, and very hoping to talk some of my buddies in to come on the podcast and hopefully log some entertaining episodes for you listeners. Just thank you so much for bearing through this. This is episode 1, many to come, and I'm going to do my best to improve from here. So much aloha. Thank you for listening, and foil the world.